I never thought I'd hear the words, "Shoot her brains out." Send this woman to heaven in my own ranch office in broad daylight with a gun pointed at my wife. But that's how it went down, right there on the worn wooden floor where we'd signed the mortgage, in front of our neighbors and employees, and with Karen from the HOA screaming behind the guy like some twisted cheerleader for chaos. You know what I mean? There are days you think you're living in a movie, and then there are days when you realize you're the main character in someone else's script, and all the lines are crazy. That's the thing about Meadowbrook Estates. 3 months before all this, I was just Sam Garrett, ex-city engineer, burnt out after 30 years and ready to finally settle somewhere quiet. My wife Elena and I found this place with white fences, neat lawns, a real life should be easy here vibe. I remember her holding up the deed, grinning, "Sam, you sure about this?" And for once I didn't have a doubt. We were going to start that little organic farm we'd dreamed about since our son Tommy was still a kid. Yeah, it looked like a Norman Rockwell painting. Turns out Rockwell never painted the HOA president from hell. Enter Penelope Penny Blackwood, though folks just called her Penny. And if you've ever met someone with a golden clipboard who measures grass with a laser and live streams it, you know the type. Day one, she showed up at our gate, 50-ish, blonde helmet hair, that smile that says, "I hope you fail," and the patience of a border collie on espresso. "Mr. Garrett, I'm Penny Blackwood, president of the HOA, welcome." Next thing you know, she's measuring the spacing between our tomatoes with military precision, broadcasting our violations to the neighborhood on Facebook Live, like we were about to bring down property values with organic lettuce. Elena's always been the cool head in the room. She asked, "What's the problem with growing vegetables?" Penny didn't miss a beat. "These food crops create an unsightly patchwork that detracts from our community's character." You ever hear someone say patchwork like it's a 4-letter word? That's when she hit us with the $500 fine for planting food plus daily penalties until we replaced everything with decorative shrubs from her preferred vendor. Even Tommy, who's 16 and allergic to mornings, wandered out just to see if this was real life. "Dad, she's measuring tomatoes with a laser," he said. And I swear Penny's phone chat lit up with Karen alert, and "this lady is nuts," which just made her dig in harder. Maybe I should have paid the fine and moved on. But when someone treats you like a child who colored outside the lines, it's hard not to push back. Penny's smile faded fast, and she said, "I can see you're going to be one of those residents." Something about her tone made it clear this was personal, a test of wills, not just a garden. That night, Elena and I sat out back looking at 20 tomato plants in a dream that suddenly felt under siege. She asked, "Did you actually read the HOA agreement? Guilty as charged." I'd skimmed it. She started digging through the paperwork and found what I'd missed. The real estate agent never included the HOA disclosure. We bought our dream home without reading the fine print of Penny's dictatorship. I refused to pay that first fine, and with that one act, set off a war I never asked for. Next morning, there was a bright yellow citation taped to the door, "Failure to comply, $500 per day." Do the math, that's $15,000 a month for the crime of growing food. And then I spotted a guy at the end of the driveway, fake police uniform, cheap sneakers, arms crossed like a traffic cone with attitude. "Officer Rick Dorman, Community Security Patrol," he said, like we were in a bad TV pilot. He flashed a badge, which turned out to be a spray-painted Corona bottle cap pinned to his shirt. Not making this up. Elena demanded ID, and the guy got flustered, flipping through his pockets, trying to look tough, while his Civic with a magnetic security sign sat crooked on the curb. Then came Mrs. Collins, our 70-something neighbor with silver hair and a kitchen view of half the block. She pulled us aside, set out coffee, and showed us a notebook. 15 families driven out in 8 years. Every one of them had a run-in with Penny and her goon squad. "It's like they vanished," she whispered. "No forwarding addresses, just moving trucks and new neighbors." Elena, never one to back down, hacked into the HOA's public Wi-Fi that night, because their security was as fake as Rick's badge, and what she found made my blood run cold. Dozens of emails about community cleanups, coded lists of problem residents, and spreadsheets tracking which families might resist. Names, addresses, violation histories, and even little notes on potential for compliance. It was a hit list, and we were next. Tommy pitched in, turns out being a tech-savvy teenager is handy in a crisis. He dug up Rick's old mall security record, his online profiles, everything. The guy was a nobody playing cop, fired for excessive authority complex. Meanwhile, Jake Miller, a sleep-deprived gamer from down the street, knocked on our door. "You the tomato people?" he asked, grinning like he'd just found the jackpot. Penny got him evicted for noise violations because of his streaming. I record everything Jake said, showing us hours of footage. Penny measuring Rick posturing, and something even darker, Penny discussing removing the last resistance with a shadowy figure off camera. That's when Mrs. Collins showed us the real twist. 3 days before a family left, utility crews showed up. Water went bad, internet failed. Then boom, another family gone. Elena took notes, piecing it all together. Sabotage, property theft, systematic harassment. By now we were up to a ton $500 in fines, but money wasn't the real issue. Elena dug deeper, found Project Greenfield buried on the HOA server, a plan to clear out non-compliant families, redevelop, and flip the whole neighborhood for a fortune. Some neighbors got harassed, others were promised big paydays for silence. Jake's videos started going viral. The world watched as Penny became a meme. Penny, the laser lady with TikTok roasting her, even local news picked it up. But things got dangerous fast. Tommy uncovered a surveillance system streaming live data on every resident's shopping habits, daily routines, even AI-manipulated footage to frame problem families. Elena found evidence of illegal waste dumping, contaminated soil, dead pets, buried toxic waste, all covered up by remediation projects. Penny and her partners weren't just harassing people, they were running an environmental crime ring. Then came the showdown. Jake called panicked Rick, and Penny were outside his apartment. Rick now with a real gun. He'd come to shut Jake up. We called the FBI, skipped local cops. We weren't taking chances with small-town politics. The next day, Rick burst into our ranch office, gun-drawn, Penny filming the whole thing for her final compliance case. Rick tried to evict us by any means necessary. Elena, always calm, recorded everything, while Tommy streamed the confrontation to thousands. When Rick pointed his gun at Tommy, something snapped inside me, but before I could move, Elena told Rick he was being live broadcast to the world. Penny, in full meltdown, screamed, "Shoot her brains out! She dared to oppose our regulations." Rick fired. Elena hit the floor, grazed but alive. And in that chaos, a real cop, Deputy Martinez, barged in, took Rick down with 2 shots, and ended it. After the smoke cleared, Elena looked up, blood on her shirt but fire in her eyes. "Sam, now we show them what happens when you threaten the wrong family." The FBI took over fast turns. Out Meadowbrook wasn't alone. Penny's playbook was being used in 17 states. The files we'd pulled cracked the case wide open: racketeering, environmental crimes, wire fraud, data mining, you name it. They even found a fake scholarship fund for dead kids used to launder money. Neighbors, city officials, even the police chief, all getting kickbacks. Social media exploded with Jake's videos, and the pressure forced federal hands. Penny and Rick were just the tip. Dozens arrested, millions seized. 6 months later, Penny was sentenced to 15 years, Rick got 8. And every family targeted by their racket got a $50,000 check. The HOA was replaced by a resident council, real transparency, no more unchecked power. Elena's congressional testimony about financial sleuthing and community rights became a national hit, and Tommy got a full scholarship to MIT for his part in exposing the digital crime. Funny thing is, all we wanted was a tomato garden. Now half the block's growing vegetables. Jake's a documentary star, Elena's a hero to housing activists, and even Mrs. Collins laughs again. But the fight isn't over. Turns out we were just a test run. Plans were already in place to expand Penny's compliance protocols to hundreds of other communities. Our rebellion lit the fuse, but the fire's just getting started. So I'll ask you straight up, if someone threatened your family for standing up to injustice, would you keep your head down or fight back with everything you've got? Drop your answer in the comments. I really want to hear what you do, because the next chapter in this war on community corruption might just be yours. And if you've got your own HOA horror story, you know where to find us. There's always room for one more rebel on the porch.